We're back, and I'm speaking with Gina Pappano, Executive Director of Invest Now. Gina, there's so much negative press in the mainstream media about the resource sector. What would you say to ordinary Canadians about the resource sector?
Well, I would say our resources sector is the most productive sector in Canada. Our resources sector are Canada's biggest exporting sectors. They're so important to the economy. Resource and manufacturing are, as you mentioned before, the second and third largest contributors to Canada's GDP. Our resource sectors provide good paying jobs. And there's also trickle down with all of manufacturing that relies on our resource sectors to manufacture goods in Canada. Virtually every company on our stock exchanges and beyond relies on oil and gas to fuel their operations. So we should unapologetically promote our natural resource sectors instead of vilifying them. Um, you know, Providing tax dollars for social benefits. There's so much that the sector provides for in Canada and to everyday Canadians.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much that we could have if we had a vibrant resource sector that was allowed to flourish. But let's talk about the environment. What role can the Canadian resource sector play in a cleaner environment?
Well, as mentioned earlier, Canada has some of the highest environmental and governance standards in the world. Our resources sectors are investing in carbon tech and clean tech solutions to reduce emissions. They're investing a lot of money in that. Our resource sector can play a leading role in reducing emissions, but not without investment. Investment is required.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when you think about it, I think a lot of Canadians don't realize with the resource sector that if you have a relative in either the resource sector or the manufacturing sector, you really need to speak up and make a voice where there's divestment. So, Gina, how can ordinary Canadians, especially ones with relatives in the resource and manufacturing sector, get involved in pushing back against this narrative?
Well, at Invest Now, we're trying to target, we're doing letter writing campaigns. We're trying to target boards of governors, decision makers who are making these decisions to divest, trying to let them know what we've just talked about, how important we sometimes the decision is made easy because they're not really thinking about the consequences. So as an individual, you can let your university know, or even your pension fund, if you belong to a public pension fund, that you are against divestment. You can write a letter to the CEO, the president of a university, the CEO of the pension fund, and let them know that you are against divestment. You can withdraw any donations that you may make to the university and let them know that you are doing that because of their divestment policy. And now that the divestment movement is targeting banks, you could also write to the bank CEO, let them know that you want them to invest in our oil and gas sector, not divest.
Yeah, absolutely. I know when I meet with any financial advisor, I talk about investment in the resource sector and making sure that we have a strong and vibrant resource sector. But I think one of the pieces that are missing from this puzzle is people just don't know.
Yeah.
The other divestment side has so many more resources. They have people going out and
Yes.
talking to the banks. And we really need a public relations campaign so people know how important the resource sector is to our jobs and our economy. So, Gina, is your organization doing such a movement in terms of educating everyday Canadians on how important the resource sector is to our economy and to their prosperity?
Well, we're trying to educate corporate Canada because it's corporate Canada that are the people that come on the board of directors of the universities that are making these decisions. It's a very small group of people that are making these big decisions that affects a lot of people. And as you said, the other side is very well mobilized. They have campaigns going at every single university. They're protesting, they're making noise. And usually when you make noise, you get results. And we are trying to be in there as well, writing letters to the boards of governors, letting people know that divestment from Canadian oil and gas industry is wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you think of a part that's manufactured in Ontario, it might be a part that's going to the resource sector, and that part gets loaded onto a truck, and
Yep.
the truck drives across Canada, and they might stop to get fuel and eat and maybe buy a present for their family member and deliver that part to a resource sector. So it really is a spoke in the wheel. It's all
Yes.
interconnected. And if you pull down the resource sector, you're going to be pulling down the manufacturing sector and our jobs.
Yep.